Oh, I guess I'm using this. Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to Bellingham Unitarian Fellowship. I'm Reverend Paul Beckel. Yay! Now that's what I'm looking for. Oh, I hope I didn't embarrass him. Every rotation of the earth, every orbit around the sun, every move the cosmos makes follows predictable cycles and patterns. And yet somehow life can feel so unstable and lawless and random. I am really fascinated by the tides, and it is so much fun being near the water where you can see the tides play out. And still trying to really conceive of how this works, but my understanding is that we are on some big sphere, what we think of as largely a sphere, but there's this gravitational pull of a moon that keeps going around it, and that actually pulls the water up where it is. It pulls the water up just a little bit toward the moon, pulls it away from the sides, and then there's another little gravitational bulge. You mathematicians can explain it later. But so that basically we will have a little egg shape rather than a sphere. We have an egg shape that follows the moon around, and the water goes around. There's the big bulge and then the little bulge. And so you have kind of this 1 and 2 and 1 and 2, which of course varies from year to year, season to season, as the wind and the other types of cycle, the changing land masses, all of which affect those patterns. And then, in turn, play into our own biological and social patterns. Ever familiar, but then also ever evolving. So, within the beauty and the terror of these inescapable realities and astonishing vitalities, what is the meaning of us coming together on this pattern of Sunday mornings? What does it mean to create sanctuary? What does it mean to value community? And how do we help guide its direction? Keep it turning and flowing, responsive to our individual and collective loves and losses. We've been talking a lot today about the flow and cycles within cycles, and Andrea's got some thought on that too, musical thought.
Yeah, so when Paul was talking about what he wanted to address today, I immediately thought of the musical movement called minimalism. So I'm going to play for you a piece by Philip Glass, who was one of the central figures in that movement. And the movement is all about patterns that repeat over and over, and little by little, slowly morphing to create change.
Lovely, thank you. Good morning. I'm Stephanie Rains. I'm one of the celebrants. I've been reading a book by she's a rabbi, Rabbi Sharon Brous, called The Amen Effect, Ancient Wisdom to Mend Our Broken Hearts and World. The chalice lighting quote this morning comes from that book. Poverty and pandemic, the mainstreaming of supremacist and illiberal ideologies, the growing threat of political violence, all of these are contributing to the evisceration of social bonds in our time. What spirit and strategy must we cultivate to respond to this crisis? I argue that training the heart in compassion and curiosity is a social and spiritual necessity. And as I think about, that's the quote, that's Sharon's words. As I think about this concept of connection, I've been thinking about what rituals and practices do we have already, and what more might we need, personally and as a congregation, that will help us see our common humanity and respond to each other and ourselves with curiosity and compassion. Our covenant is an example of a ritual that reminds us of what we value together. So would you please recite it with me? Love is the spirit of this fellowship, and service gives it life, celebrating our diversity and joined by a quest for truth. We work for peace and honor all creation. This is our covenant. Thank you. We're going to try a simple greeting ritual, and actually we're going to try doing one more often. A few weeks ago, Paul invited us to greet each other, and I was delighted and amazed at how everyone leapt up, sometimes crossed the church, and made connection with people.
And then when we talked about it later, I realized that we hadn't done that since before the pandemic.
Yeah. And I want to invite us to try something a little simpler that doesn't have to be any less meaningful, that also takes into consideration that not everyone is comfortable hugging yet. And that what I propose is that hugging be something we ask permission for. And it can be nonverbal, but still, that we don't just run up and hug people. That doesn't mean we can't connect with each other. So I'd like to ask that you stand as you're able, and you don't have to stand to do this, but if you are able, it will make it a little easier to find someone who maybe you haven't already said good morning to. So would you stand? And we're going to do this non-verbally. I don't know that that's going to work, but I'm asking. Thank you. I love that you're all so enthusiastic about greeting each other. And let me ask you to try a nonverbal greeting. So thank you. What I'm asking is that you find someone sitting near you. We're not going to take the time to run around the sanctuary this morning. and make eye contact with that person and say hello with your eyes, and maybe with a little nod or a bow, but take some time to smile at each other quietly, no words. And I will ring a bell, and if you want to do it with more than one, you can, but let's see if we can try greeting each other with our eyes and our hearts silently.
It's not always we figure out how to communicate without words. I'm especially impressed that it was so quiet over in this section. I don't think any of us expected that. But I'm going to invite anybody who's little, younger than 99. Well, for now, let's just do the littlest. If you want, I'm going to go through some thoughts with you in which you can, if you like, copy the way I'm moving my body and my arms. So at first, it doesn't have words, but if you'd like, you can stand up and we'll move around together. Because I was thinking about this word, spirit. Have any of you heard or know the word spirit? It's this, if you don't know it, that's okay. Those who are 99 might not either. I mean, I'm still trying to understand. But you will hear stories as you grow up about sometimes when there's this spirit in a lamp or in a bottle, or it's like all in this tiny little thing that needs to come out. And when I think of those stories, I think of how I can feel like my feelings being shut into a little bottle, and my thoughts and my body and my hopes and my fears and my dreams and all of me in this, like, you can't see it. You don't even know what's in there. It's just this, you can't paint a picture of it. But imagine letting it out of that bottle. So sometimes I think, if I were holding that bottle by the neck and I pulled off the cork, that spirity thing would just go like that. It would just have this, it would be kind of like life itself, which is, also something you really can't put words to, because you guys seem very alive, but do you know what life is? You always have ideas. What's life? Life is beautiful. Wow. Yeah. You're alive. I have a cat at home who's alive. But, like, this wood? Is this wood alive? Kind of. What about? Yeah. Okay, so that life is also just like hard to convey. What is it? But you still kind of want it to like come. When I look at things that I think of as kind of alive, I'd say like, come with the spirit, this life, come to me, and then it comes, and then I want to let it out again, like as if it's like singing, as if I'm conducting a choir, so singing, and it goes out, that song, and then it comes back into my heart, and then it goes throughout my body, and it starts to stir, in such a way that, here's another word that you'll learn more as you grow up. But compassion is like, it gives me this sense of like, I want to hold and hug and, not without permission, and let my spirit touch another spirit, whatever that is, with compassion. And then it blows out again, like with the wind, and it falls down into the sea, and then it rises from the sea. And all of us who have been in the sea are back in touch with that. And touching, we wonder how it can move our hands. Such that life thing takes on a shape. You know, there's so many shapes that we have, but I think of it as like this kind of circular, this hugeness, this shape of, and it's here and there, it's everywhere. Do you know what of course you know what a teeter-totter is. In a picture of teeter-totter where you see, you want it to balance and you want each person to have kind of a fair shake on that. There's a word called justice that also is kind of like that, where we're trying to balance. And there's this thing called blind justice, where on the teeter-totter, you think, well, we want it to be balanced, but it doesn't matter if one person is wearing the same color shoes I am or not. It doesn't matter if the person on either side is our friend or not. We just want it to be fair. And when that is, then the spirit also keeps blowing around, even down into the ground, into the roots. It holds us down into the ground, like with roots, and that holds us close down into the ground, and then it goes out again. It just keeps coming around and out again. It comes like with wings, but with the teeter-totter or justice, it's kind of fixed, but with wings, it's that again, but it's really fluid, setting us free. And it just keeps coming around again then for me. It's like the spirit of life, and it just come to me and all of that. There ought to be a song about that. Let's see. So this is obviously not American Sign Language exactly. It's more evocative. And every time we do it, it's going to feel a little different. It's going to look a little different. So let's do it. Spirit of love. So as you guys go off to your classrooms, we may sing different songs to you, or however we do it, we wish the same thoughts for you. We just want you to come, and we want you to go, we want you to grow up, and we want you to stay close. It's always with all of those feelings of compassion and hope and love and knowing how beautiful you are. And so as you go, we will keep feeling all of those feelings.
Good morning. I'm Carrie Kenline. And I've been thinking a lot lately about how I'm going to survive 2024. I'm so aware that this isn't just any year. It's an election year. And it's not just any election year, it's a high stakes, harrowing, anything could happen kind of election year, along with climate disasters and pandemics and various other scary things. One of the things we can do in a community like this is share what's challenging for us, and we can also share what helps us navigate hard things. I have my strategies for navigating stress and uncertainty that sometimes work. Different versions of rest and play that help me restore myself. Communing with nature, especially when I'm feeling kind of fed up with human beings. Sometimes working puzzles, engaging in the pleasure of making something whole when it feels like the world is going to pieces. And I'm sure that throughout this year, I'll be writing a lot of pantoums. In case you don't know, a pantoum is a kind of poem that has a pattern of repeating lines. Every line of the poem is repeated once, and that repetition makes for a reassuring, somewhat comforting structure, something to count on and to lean into. But what I love most about pantoum writing is how the repeated lines get reshuffled in interesting ways that allow for fresh responses and new thoughts. Maybe that's why writing them tends to leave me feeling refreshed and renewed. The comforting and familiar gets mixed with the fresh and the new. So here's a recent one that's kind of a prescription for myself for 2024. Write 3 pantoums and call me in the morning. Share your delights with me, and I'll share mine with you. Take a self-compassion shower every day. Let what doesn't serve you go down the drain. Share your delights with me, and I'll share mine with you. It's fine to complain, but let's make sure it's not the only tune you play. Let what doesn't serve you go down the drain. Don't forget to moisturize with love. It's fine to complain, but let's make sure it's not the only tune you play. After a melancholy melody, it might be time for a rousing chorus. Don't forget to moisturize with love. Remember what makes you laugh. After a melancholy melody, it might be time for a rousing chorus. Take a self-compassion shower every day. Remember what makes you laugh. Write 3 pantoums and call me in the morning. We can each create our own prescriptions for navigating 2024. We can share our fears, our griefs, our challenges, but we can also share what helps and borrow strategies from each other. I want to mention one more very important strategy I'll be engaging in to not only survive 2024, but possibly even to thrive. Coming together with you, again and again, week after week. Repeat, repeat, repeat. But like the pantoum form, we are not just about repetition. We have our rhythms of returning, like the turning of the seasons, like the chorus of a song, comforting, reassuring, deepening, but not a closed system of endless repetition. Also making room for the new, the unexpected, new people, new ideas, new possibilities, and making room for the ways that each of us are growing and changing. Here's a song that I wrote a few years ago that's really about that. It's called Repeat, and I'd love for you to join me on the chorus. Repeat, repeat, it comes around and around again like a chorus waiting for us. Let's sing it once again. Repeat, repeat, let's come back every time we can. It's so sweet, this invitation to repeat it all again. My friends, how I love to see your faces, hear your voices. It's a tonic for my soul. I feel more whole when I'm around you. Our lives are full of change, and they're always rearranging. I know we are changing too, but I'm still me, and you're still you. Repeat, repeat, it comes around and around again like a chorus waiting for us. Let's sing it once again. Repeat, repeat, let's come back every time we can. It's so sweet, this invitation to repeat it all again. And you who are new, there's a place for you beside us. Come sit here, we'll hold you dear. Share the love that is inside us when we're gathered here. And we're singing all together. There's no old and there's no new. And I'm just me, and you're just you. Repeat, repeat, it comes around and around again like a chorus waiting for us. Let's sing it once again. Repeat, repeat, let's come back every time we can. It's so sweet, this invitation to repeat it all again. When it's time to say goodbye, time to go where we are called to, there may be some complications in the verses of our lives. But we can share this love and return over and over. We'll be old and we'll be new. I'll still be me, you'll still be you. Repeat, repeat, it comes around and around again like a chorus waiting for us. Let's sing it once again. Repeat, repeat, let's come back every time we can. It's so sweet, this invitation to repeat it all again. Repeat, repeat, it comes around and around again like a chorus waiting for us. Let's sing it once again. Repeat, repeat, let's come back every time we can. So sweet, this invitation to repeat it all again. Repeat, repeat, repeat.
Carrie, I've been working with you for a long time, and I don't remember if you have sung that in a service that I've been before, but as you were sharing that, it just felt so real. I mean, I've worked with you enough times that I know that was a real Carrie song. There was that authenticity to it, and that authenticity, even though I've heard it in so many different forms, verbal and sung, just so exemplified what you were saying about how we bring ourselves, always ourselves, but always in new ways, responding to the moment. So thank you. So we have very little control over the larger arc of human history. A little more control over our own biology, and nothing to offer but wonder to the cosmos. So we acknowledge, or at our best, we more than acknowledge, we actually accept that many of the rhythms of our lives are just going to be there. They're natural. And yet there's some cultural traditions and family patterns play out, personal habits that become so controlled, we cling to the way they've got to be. They no longer feel natural, they feel a lot more contrived. Now there's a real sweet spot, I think, between the things that are inevitable, going to happen whether we like it or not, and the things that seem to keep happening even though they don't really respond to what we need in any given moment. I think there's a sweet spot in between that of patterns, holidays, rituals that we can create for ourselves that respond to the unshakable realities with grace, with a sense of beauty and practicality, and standing back to wonder and observe, and also with engagement, and also with the liberating awareness that we have our limits. So how is this all expressed in the unique form of congregational life? Well, we celebrate together, we mourn, we notice, we share stories and dedicate children, we show up and clean up, open up, crank up the heat, lock up, and say our goodbyes. We have weekly and monthly rhythms of gatherings, seasons marked by water communions and flower communions, the annual General Assembly of our entire Unitarian Universalist Association of about 1,000 congregations around the country, and our own little cycle of that, making decisions together over the course of a year, with the cycle of asking for your financial gifts so that we can the next step, so that we can negotiate together a budget that we can agree on, and then go to the next step of electing leaders who will implement that budget in good faith. So there's all of these both practical and very human, ethereal aspects to what makes congregational life rich and complicated. So when so many of these interweaving cycles come together in unexpected ways or in ways that create knots, how do we remain unified and maintain our sense of beloved community? I think it's with each of us not doing the same thing, but doing what is most natural and real and brave to respond to the moment. Each of us has our own gifts, our own areas where we would like to grow, our own areas where we have to grow. And all of that begins, I think, with curiosity and often with experimentation. So I'm going to invite you to those of you who have been here for a few minutes, and those of you who have been here for a few decades, to engage with your curiosity and experiment with different ways to be a part, to engage in beloved community, because that can be a way of growing internally and collectively. And right now we're going to hear from a few different people who have are going to share just examples in which we do that. There's so many layers of connecting and coming back.
One of the things that nurtures my soul and helps me when I'm having a hard time is our monthly Taizé service. And our monthly Taizé service this month is tomorrow. And it's on Zoom, and it's here in the sanctuary. In case you've never been, how many people here have been to a Taizé service? Woo! Great. But in case you haven't been, it's a quiet service that involves repeating songs, chanting, meditation, candles. It's a very nurturing experience. So I invite you to join us tomorrow night, 7 p.m., here in the sanctuary or on Zoom. And the Zoom is the same link as the Sunday service.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Barbara Tenhove. I'm an affiliated minister here, retired. And it's curious to me, Paul, that I would end up being the convener of a very important event in the life of this church, which is the auction. Now, the most important thing you can do to support this church is to pledge generously, and you're going to hear about that in just a minute. But the second most important thing you can do is be a part of the auction. Last year we held it in February, but this year we're going back to having it in May. In fact, our theme, or our tagline for our theme is, May the 4th be with you. So you will remember that date because it is May the 4th. Our theme is Across the Universe, and we have a wonderful logo created by our own Annie Sorich. And what I would invite you to do is to take this lovely half sheet of paper and bring it home and put it on your refrigerator and think. This next month is for pledging and for thinking about the auction. And so what we really need you to be thinking about is what kind of events, experiences, services, and treasures you can offer the auction, like parties, hikes, handy person skills, quilts, dinners, stargazing, haircuts, jewelry. Raffle baskets are also desired. We need groups to donate. Now, some of us may remember that last year's auction software, clunky, new software, woohoo! So you'll be glad to know the new software will launch in just about a month. And we have a wonderful team of volunteers. Our planning team, there's lots of little teams, lots of people, but our planning team includes me, Drew Betts, Judy Casper, and Annie Sorich. And what a great team. And we have lots of other people on the team. If you're serving on the team currently, will you just raise your hand? Okay, look at these lovely, nice people. They are amazing. But after today's service, I will be in the upstairs lobby, and I will be standing around for a few minutes. And if you come to me and say, I'd like to volunteer, I'd like to do something for the auction, watch me write it down on this piece of paper because I would love to remember it. If you go downstairs to coffee and you don't see me, Judy Casper said she'll be down there. She's happy to talk to you. But mostly we want you thinking about what you're going to donate because, dear ones, we need to raise more than $20,000 at this wonderful event, and it's going to be a great party. So yay for us. Let's have fun in May. May the 4th be with you.
Hello, I'm Lee Seaman, and I get to talk with you about money. And especially, it's really exciting, I get to talk to you about money for Buff. And that's really awesome because this is us, and I really love Buff, as you guys know, because which means I love you, because we're all Buff. If we weren't here, there wouldn't be any point, right? It'd just be a nice building that somebody had to make apartments out of. And at Buff, we do awesome stuff, and we do 3 awesome stuffs. One of the awesome stuffs is we take care of each other, and it's been amazing for me to have a community that loves me and cares for me. We have programs, and we have chalice circles, and we have just the regular friendships that I've built up in Fellowship Hall while drinking coffee or warm water or whatever, you know. Then we work outside our walls, and we're well known in Bellingham as we're a small group, but we do a lot for social justice and peace and growth and maturity and joy in the greater world around us. Then we can be really proud of that. And the 3rd thing we do is we support our volunteers, and we support our staff, and we support our building, and we support that with money. And we decided to do that a number of years ago. We had a thinking about that, and we decided that chickens were not the option. We will not bring chickens to support Buff. We will bring money. Aren't you glad? Any of you have had chickens? Yeah, money. Good, convenient. So nice and not smelly. We're bringing money, and we are getting money primarily by our pledge drive, which starts next month. And we send out canvassers to meet with every member and every friend of Buff. It's really fun. It's fun to be a canvasser because you only go to visit about 3 people, and the canvassers don't ask for money. I ask for money, Paul asks for money, all the people who come up here ask for money. We send you little pamphlets asking for money, but we don't ask for money when we go to canvass. We just bring you the card, and you fill it out. And we feel at Buff that, you know, you guys know how valuable this community is. We know that it takes money, because we decided not to do the chickens, to run Buff, and you fill out the card, and we put it back in the envelope, and we don't look at it, and we take it back to the office. So we all get to decide what Buff is going to do next year, this year, in the year, and we're looking forward to 5 years, 10 years down the road, what we're going to contribute to this community, what we're going to do for each other. It's pretty darned exciting. So my job is to give you information. And here comes the information for today, which is that when we had the pandemic, we got some extra money from some outside sources, and it was really, really helpful, and it's almost gone. This year, to keep the same as last year, most of our expenses with staff, like most of it, we have to pay insurance, we have to keep the roof, we have to fix the furnace, but that's small potatoes compared to our staff. We love our staff, they're fantastic. They get paid less than the UU national average recommendation level. To keep steady, not to increase anything, but just to keep steady, we need $50,000 more than last year. That's about 20% more. So when I'm looking at when I'm thinking this month, I'm thinking, how much can I change my pledge in order to make that up? And we all have to make that decision for ourselves. And we will continue to give you lots of information in meetings and in online things and in paper about where the money goes and how well it's spent. And my experience is it's awesomely spent. And there's a lot of ways for you to learn more about that. So you can see me, you can see anybody after downstairs or anytime to talk with us, and we will give you plenty of information because you guys are really smart and you'll figure it out. Thank you.
Hi, hi, I'm Natalie Johnson, and I'm here to talk a little bit about Interweave, which is a UUA-sponsored program with two major objectives. First, to fight the oppression of LGBTQIA2S+ people, also known as queer people. The second is to sustain a spiritual home for queer people where we are acknowledged, accepted, and embraced. By formally becoming a welcoming congregation several years ago, Buff has formally embraced queer people. Congratulations. Currently, I'm amazed we have over 20 people who are involved in Interweave, and as we get the word out, more are joining. Wonderful. As part of our initiative, we are undertaking the UUA-sponsored program of annually renewing that welcoming congregation status. And to that end, we're engaged in several initiatives, including actively participating in worship services, engaging in education initiatives and community outreach, providing queer youth activities, and observing several days that are significant to queer people. The first of which is National Black HIV/AIDS Awareness Day, which is this Wednesday the 7th, followed the following week by observance of the passage of Washington State's Marriage Equality Act. Tremendous. Today at 12 o'clock, we have a regular meeting of Interweave downstairs in the library. All of you are welcome to be part of us. The more, the better. In short, we're excited and dedicated to do this work. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Natalie and Stephanie, and so many of you have already forgotten. Lee, Barbara. And I'll add just briefly that one of the ways that this is so interactive in regard to the budget stuff that Lee was talking about, we're going to have a follow-up to our listening session that we had in December, a week from today. So next Sunday after the service, we're going to have an in-person follow-up where we talk very concretely about what our options are for staffing next year and other ways that we can balance a budget with fundraising. And then we're going to do that online also a week from Tuesday. So we'll have, this will all be in the midweek update, which if you're new, you can find at buff.org. You can subscribe to our weekly newsletter and get the details and the links to these things. But it'll be Tuesday, not this Tuesday, but the week after, online on Zoom. And it'll be Sunday, a week from today, when we'll continue those conversations. So as we were putting together the elements of this service today, knowing that we were repeating some of the things that we do on a regular basis, but also changing it up a little bit, choosing some music that was familiar, but other pieces that would help us stretch a little. I noticed just how many different repetition is not, there's a lot of different kinds of repetition. I mean, even something so simple I hadn't noticed before is that, so some songs, like yours, had a refrain that we repeated over and over. But of course, many of the songs we sing just have verses have the same melody, but we just have different words each time. And of course, then there's some that only have one verse at all, and we just sing through it once. But then we do it week after week. So the song that we're about to sing is called We Are Not Our Own, and it's one of those that just repeats verse after verse. But the melody is not one of those, it's not row, row, row your boat that you can really easily get stuck in your head. It's much more delicate and subtle, I think. So much so that I remember when we sang it once in my previous congregation, somebody came up to me afterward and said, "We are never going to sing that song again, right?" We don't always see the beauty in something the first time that we experience it. But this song has these patterns that are so rich and evocative that I think it's worth finding a way to get used to it, and because I discover new layers to it every time we sing. So some of you learn by heart, some of you prefer seeing the words, and some of you even are able to figure out the dots on the page and what those rhythms mean. So if you're the latter, it's number 317 in the gray hymnal. Otherwise, maybe just close your eyes and soak it up. So let's sing. Let's stand together.
Just twice, though. Okay. Hi, I'm Lynn Skavdahl. Okay, and I'm shorter than Paul.
Is that in your way, though?
Nope,
Okay.
it's good. I can see it. Okay. Well, so I was asked to do what is called a testimonial, which I gotta say, back in the 70s, the United Methodists decided to have a little charismatic movement, and I was a part of that, and it scared the bejeebies out of me. And that's just what I think of when I think of testimonials. But really, it's not that bad. So you don't have to brace yourselves. You keep breathing right along with me. What I want to do is tell you what Buff means to me. And it means community, a sense of belonging, a purpose. Like Lee said, we serve a greater purpose other than meeting once a week in this lovely service. But what I really want to say is that that's not where I began when I first came to Buff. My wife, Stephanie, and I moved here from the sticks, not a Unitarian church for 50 miles. And when we moved here, we knew that we wanted to be involved in a Unitarian congregation because we had been earlier in our relationship, and it was helpful. And so for the first 2 or 3 years, I sat out there with you all and felt fairly uncomfortable, although people were welcoming, and that was nice. I kept coming back. I kept coming back for the music and for the sermons and for the people who were welcoming. I did not set foot in that after-service coffee hour, however, because that was just a little too informal for me. And then one day, Genia asked me if I would participate, if I would be a leader in, we had these really cool, once a month, this birthday celebrations where we would meet in small groups, in our birthday groups. So June would all meet together, and I got to lead the Junes. And for some crazy reason, I said, sure, I'll do that. And then afterwards, I thought, oh, man, what did I get myself into? And it turns out that I really enjoyed that, and I got a lot of positive feedback. And from there, I volunteered for some things, and gradually, what happened is everything changed for me. Like, I got to know people, I felt seen, I had fun here, and it changed my whole experience. So, my little coaching hint to you, I in a former life was a coach. I don't think I was a very good one, so anyway, but for you, I'm going to be a good coach here, and I'm going to give you a big hint. You don't have to wait 3 years to be asked to volunteer for something. You can just do it. And I'm working on this auction thing, and so you can just come and see me downstairs at the coffee hour, which I attend on a pretty regular basis now. So, see, this can happen. Okay, so that's the end of the testimonial. My next job is to introduce the offertory and the offering. And by first saying that, because I don't want to forget this, on Zoom there will be a slide and they'll tell you how you can donate. And here, there'll be folks passing around the basket. But before they do, I would like you to think about I'd like you to ask yourself some questions. And one is, what does Buff do for me? Like, why am I here? What do I get out of this? How is my life enriched by this community? And what would my life be like without it? And base your contributions on your answers to those questions. Thank you.
got to watch a mother and baby waltzing in the nursery during that. Thank you for your generosity and for all the ways you give that keep this community alive and thriving, for me, for you, and for all those who might be in need of it now and in the future. As I've been thinking about the year ahead and its inevitable challenges, I keep remembering a quote that Paul referred to several weeks ago. It's from Thich Nhat Hanh, the Vietnamese Buddhist monk. When the crowded Vietnamese refugee boats met with storms or pirates, if everyone panicked, all would be lost. But if even one person on the boat remained calm and centered, it was enough. It showed the way for everyone to survive. There's so much about the coming year that I don't know how to plan for. Who knows what pirates and storms are coming our way? But when things get harrowing, I can steer towards being a calm, centered person in whatever boat I happen to be in. And maybe sometimes you can be the calm, centered person in my boat. Which of course leads me to share one more pantoum. We are in this boat together. All around us, things are upsetting and uncertain. Some of us are not feeling well. Some of us have loved ones in dire circumstances. All around us, things are upsetting and uncertain. Still, we can be a calm presence in each other's boats. Some of us have loved ones in dire circumstances. Some of us are feeling hopeless and afraid. Still, we can be a calm presence in each other's boats. We can help each other breathe and quiet and do what needs to be done. Some of us are feeling hopeless and afraid. All we can do is keep letting love speak to us and through us. We can help each other breathe and quiet and do what needs to be done. Some of us are not feeling well. All we can do is keep letting love speak to us and through us. We are in this boat together. So now, please join me in singing a song we have sung again and again and again in this very room, Blue Boat Home. The words will be on the screen, and if you like looking at music, it's 1064 in the turquoise hymnal.
Still my trial and heart can say
thank you so much, all of you, for being part of that pattern of music making. And I rarely remember to extinguish the chalice, I have to admit. That's maybe just part of the virtual ritual. But one pattern that I am sure will always happen is that when we sing Circle Round, I can be sure that every few months somebody will come up to me, even after they've read the words up there 100 times or read the words in the hymnal 100 times. They'll say, I just realized it doesn't say for all of us in prison. It says for all of us imprisoned. It has like this deeper metaphorical meaning. I feel like that's so often in life, that something happens so many times for so many years before I finally get it. I am glad to be able to do all of that with you, and so let's circle around for freedom.